Patch 12.23b has been released, featuring nerfs to OP items like Jockshow and Ravenous, while Zed has finally been hit with a significant direct nerf. We'll be covering all this and much more as we break down the changes and provide you guys with a complete update on the meta thanks to the help of our challenger players and analyzing the most recent data. And if you didn't know, the preseason is arguably the best time to get way better at League of Legends. The reason is because when you focus on improving your own skills instead of just doing whatever it takes to scrape a win, you do tend to lose a little more in the short term in exchange for huge gains in the long term. So if you're thinking of mastering your macro skills and not joining every team fight, but instead trying to learn how to become a split-pushing god, or if you're looking to learn a new role or bootcamp your mechanics, then enroll to our world-class courses as we teach every fundamental you could ever need with the world's largest premium library for League of Legends. And better yet, if you join SkillCapped for the long haul, then for just $6.99 a month, you can get a 1-year membership to SkillCapped. And if you don't climb at least 5 divisions while actively using SkillCapped, you can claim a full refund, so there's no risk. This subscription also grants you access to WoW Dragonflight, Valorant, and Wrath of the Lich King. So check us out right after this, link in the description below. And with that said, let's move on to today's guide. One of the most OP items from 12.23 has been nerfed, with Jockshow's cost increased by 100 gold. The armor and magic resist per second in combat has been nerfed as well, going from 3 to 2. Riot's just reverting the buffs they gave Jockshow in 12.22 with this armor and magic resist change. So what does this mean for the item's viability? Jockshow should be prioritized much less on bruiser champions and remain a viable option for tanks. Jockshow had been the highest priority tank item, so instead of brainlessly buying it every game, Iceborne, Radiant Virtue, and Heartsteel will be viable options now. For example, someone like Kassanti can use Iceborne really well, so in games where the enemy comp is heavy AD, going Iceborne over Jockshow will be better value now. Third time's the charm, right? That's what Riot's hoping, at least, with these Ravenous Hydra nerfs, as they have altered the item 3 times now after its mini rework. The carnivorous stacks lost on death have been increased from 50 to 60%, while cleave damage is down from 50 to 40% total AD for melee and 25 to 20% total AD for ranged. To be completely honest, guys, these changes are still not enough to remove Hydra from the meta, but it won't be the most optimal for all champs now. For junglers that really benefit from added AoE clear power like Kha'Zix, the item will still be a solid rush. On the other hand, for someone like Hecarim, who clears pretty well even without Ravenous, rushing Duskblade is looking more optimal now. Fiora is still great with the item too, just not completely insane like before. The cleave damage nerf applied to Ravenous Hydra has also been issued to Tiamat, so early game pushing power and clear speed for certain junglers is a little weaker now. An item we had placed in C tier for our recent item tier list was Stormrazor, and it has been buffed for 12.23b. AD is up from 40 to 45. For a few champions like Quinn and Ukshin who occasionally like to build Stormrazor, it's a small indirect buff, but we don't see this change leading to more champions prioritizing the item. ADCs have been buffed for 12.23b, with Lord Dominik's having his Giant Slayer maximum bonus damage increased from 15 to 25%. Health difference for max damage is going from 2,000 to 2,500. This will be a nice change for ADCs to help combat Heartsteel users like Mundo, who end up stacking a ludicrous amount of health. Moss Stomper jungle item has been nerfed once again, with its shield strength lowered from 75 scaling to 330 to 60 scaling to 281. 15 less shielding is a pretty significant nerf, and it should be enough to finally bring Moss Stomper down to around the same level as Gustwalker and Scorchclaw. Most high elo junglers have just been spamming Moss Stomper every game regardless of enemy comp, so this nerf should lead to more strategy when it comes to choosing your starting item. The recent surge of Mundo has been addressed by Riot in 12.23b with a few nerfs. Base health regen growth is down from 0.75 to 0.55. Passive health loss has been reduced from 3 to 4% current health. Passive additional max health regen has been lowered from 0.4 scaling to 2.5 to 0.4 scaling to 2.3. Q health cost is up from 60 at all ranks to 50 scaling to 90. E health cost is down at the earlier ranks but increased at the later ranks. Lastly, R cooldown has been increased from 110 to 120 seconds. So far, the nerfs have been affecting Mundo more significantly for the higher ranks than for lower elo. By no means are these changes a killing blow to Mundo's spot in the meta, and he's still an amazing carry for low elo, so we'll be leaving Mundo in the OP tier. So, taking a look at the complete top lane tier list, Shen, Fiora, and Mundo will reign supreme once again. As a result of his recent buffs, E-Max Malphite is actually in a really solid spot right now. Extremely good counter to Jax, Tryndamere, and can even nullify Fiora better than most top laners. Our challenger expert Strompist recently completed a live commentary where he smashed lane on Malphite, showcasing how powerful this E-Max is. Aatrox, Irelia, and Urgot are a few top laners who were hit the hardest this patch due to the Joksho and Ravenous Hydra nerfs. With all these Joksho and Ravenous users falling in power, it opens up a window for picks like Darius and Shen to move up in priority. Top 3 low elo top laners of the patch are Mundo, Mordekaiser, Nasus, Fiora, Cassanti, and Darius are a few of the highest valued bans. Hecarim was one of the champions hit the hardest this patch, as his Q % bonus damage per stack is down from 4 to 3%. It's not just this direct nerf that affects Hecarim's power level though, as Heck was a really good Ravenous and Joksho user. 3 different nerfs in one patch is a tough pill to swallow, and Hecarim will be falling out of S tier and into A as a result. Lilia absolutely exploded in power once people caught on to the demonic into Joksho build, so Riot has nerfed her in 12.23b. Passive % health damage is down from 6 to 5%. Q damage is down by 5 at all ranks. Q outer edge true damage is also down by 5 at all ranks. It's interesting that Riot decided to nerf the items that made these champions so strong, but also directly nerfed them in the same patch. Like Hecarim, Lilia is not only hit by the direct nerfs, but by Joksho becoming weaker as well. Initial response to these nerfs have been quite negative to Lilia's overall solo queue win rate, so she'll be following Hecarim, dropping from S into A tier. Lethality Udyr has finally been tagged with some nerfs after dominating solo queue for multiple patches. Q bonus physical damage is down from 3 scaling to 10% to 3 scaling to 8% of the target's max health. Q bonus physical damage on hit has been reduced, going from 5 scaling to 45 to 5 scaling to 35. AD ratio is up from 20 to 30% though. Q awakened physical damage has been lowered from 2 scaling to 5% to 2 scaling to 4%, with the bonus AD ratio lowered from 3 to 2%. It's not all bad news for Udyr though, as his tanky builds are becoming stronger. R base damage per tick is up from 10 scaling to 50 to 10 scaling to 60. W, E, and R mana costs have been lowered as well, from 45 scaling to 28 to 40 scaling to 23. So Lethality Udyr is definitely much weaker now, but there's actually another even more broken build that you can look to play. We've noted in our recent videos how strong Demonic Embrace Rush is on Lilia, and it can work just as well on Udyr. It's a Demonic Rush into Joksho 2nd and Sunfire Aegis 3rd. Of course, this will be with an R max as well, which just got buffed. So even though Lethality Udyr takes a hit, Udyr's overall power level does not become any weaker due to this new tank build, which allows him to hold on to his OP tier position. Rammus shot up to over a 55% win rate due to 12.23 changes, so Riot didn't waste any time bringing out the Nerf bat. W cooldown is up from 6 to 7 seconds. W bonus armor is down from 50 to 40, while bonus magic resist is down from 15 to 10. Moss Stomper nerfs will negatively affect Rammus combined with the Joksho nerfs, so he's getting hit from multiple different angles. Considering how strong Rammus was before these nerfs, he's not going to become a weak pick by any means, but he will be dropping from OP tier and into S. So for the jungle tier list, it's Udyr, Master Yi, Evelynn, and Echo locking down the OP tier spots. Sylas jungle has exploded in popularity for preseason and is in a pretty strong spot as well. Our challenger jungler Japanese import just uploaded a live commentary detailing how to play the new Sylas jungle, so definitely check it out if you're looking to learn him. On the flip side, with Sylas being spammed so much, who can you look to play into him as a good counter? Kindred is a really solid option due to her ranged advantage and ability to dodge out on Sylas E. Tanks that can stack MR and like to build Spirit Visage are performing extremely well into Sylas, so Zac and Warwick are solid picks too. With Ravenous nerfed yet again, it's going to be best for most junglers to bypass the item now. For example, Graves is already performing better with his Umbral Rush, while a Duskblade Rush is back to outclassing Ravenous on Rengar. The best low elo junglers of the patch are Rammus, Mundo, and Mordekaiser. Master Yi, Udyr, and Evelynn are a few of the highest priority jungle bans. Zed's power level was sliced from multiple different directions this patch. Direct nerfs include Zed's Q damage being lowered by 10 at all ranks. E cooldown has been increased from 5 scaling to 3 seconds to 5 scaling to 4 seconds. E base damage is down by 5 at all ranks. 15 damage off your main combo, amplified even further if you're able to land multiple Qs, is a pretty big hit to Zed's overall game. Snowball power drops off pretty significantly, and with Ravenous Hydra nerfed as well, Zed will no longer be an OP tier mid laner. Ravenous is still looking like the most optimal rush for Zed, but his power level has dropped off quite hard regardless. Zed will be dropping from OP into A tier due to how impactful the nerfs are. Lux has been absent from the mid lane meta for a while now, so Riot has buffed her EAP ratio, going from 70 to 80%. Our AP ratio has seen a boost as well, going from 100 to 120%. Buffs definitely put Lux in a pretty good spot, but they aren't quite enough to push her into an S tier position. A tier is where you'll find Lux for 12.23b. So now that Zed is no longer an OP mid, it leaves Kassadin above all else as the premier carry of the patch. Kassadin is completely busted right now and is super free LP, which is why we released a detailed Season 13 guide on Kassadin this week on our website. After moving Aurelia into S for our last tier list update, she'll be dropping right back down to A due to the Ravenous and Jock Show nerfs. Zed and Kassadin are currently two of the most played mid laners, so who can you play to take advantage of this? Pantheon and Tryndamere are extremely undervalued at the moment. Both play great into Zed and Kassadin, along with many other melee mids. Both champions are pretty easy to get the hang of in a short time as well, so it doesn't take a huge time commitment to see results with them. For the best low elo mids, Swain, Malzahar, and Heimerdinger are really solid options. Zed, Kassadin, and Vex are three of the most optimal mid lane bans. Neela has been targeted with a bunch of AD ratio nerfs for 12.23b and is the only ADC change this patch. Q damage AD ratio has been lowered from 90 scaling to 130% to 90 scaling to 120%. Q damage increase based on crit strike chance is going from 0 scaling to 100% to 0 scaling to 120%. Q passive healing receives similar treatment, with it going from 0 scaling to 15% to 0 scaling to 20%. Our damage over time bonus AD ratio drops from 35 to 28%. Our total damage AD ratio is down as well from 260 to 232%. Our healing has been changed from 30 scaling to 45% to 20 scaling to 50%. So with all these AD ratio nerfs and crit scaling buffs, Riot is trying to get rid of the Ravenous Rush build on Neela. Ravenous gave so much AD that it synergized so well with Neela's high AD ratios. These nerfs will not significantly impact Neela's power level, but they will hurt the Ravenous Rush strategy. Neela will remain in our S tier for 12.23b. For the ADC tier list, the OP tier will consist of Twitch, Tristana, and Kai'Sa. We'll be sure to keep track of how the Storm Razor changes pan out this patch, but for now, we don't expect the buffs to bring the item back into meta on many ADCs. Tristana and Kate are two ADCs that have the greatest potential with the item if it does end up being viable again. Other than that, nothing of significance that affects the ADC meta for 12.23b. The best low elo carries are Tristana, Misfortune, and Ziggs. If you're stuck in low elo as ADC, we actually have an entire course teaching a super effective strategy for carrying bad teammates that Tristana is fantastic at using. And finally, Draven, Kai'Sa, and Samira are three of the best bot lane bans. Janna was the only support nerf for 12.23b, as her passive bonus move speed is down from 8 to 6%. E bonus AD is down at the later ranks, going from 10 scaling to 40 to 10 scaling to 30. 10 less AD is nothing to ignore, as you're losing 350 gold worth of stats at max rank. Movement speed nerf is also pretty impactful, so these will put a dent in Janna's power level. You do have to keep in mind that Janna was far and above the highest win rate support in recent patches though, so all these nerfs should do is bring her more in line with the other strong supports. As a result, we'll be leaving Janna in OP tier for the time being. 5 champions top the OP tier for support being Amumu, Heimerdinger, Blitzcrank, Maokai, and Janna. By far the most underrated support right now is Rel, and we just released a live commentary highlighting her current power level. Amazing support with Radiant Virtue, which is one of the most undervalued items on many melee supports. If you guys want some free elo in preseason, then look to duo up with Nami and Lucian. Nami is definitely an OP support when paired with Lucian, but with the majority of supports, she is more of an S tier pick, which is why we don't have her placed in OP. If you solely look at Nami's win rate, it's definitely a little inflated due to her being played with Lucian in over 30% of her games. Top 3 low elo supports of the patch are Brand, Heimerdinger, and Zyra. Amumu, Blitzcrank, and Heimer are a few of the most optimal bans. Alright guys, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little more about SkillCapped. So, we offer a 5-division rank up guarantee, and think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered that, right? Not us. We've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium league guides on the internet. We add over 20 videos a week, with over 1,600 guides curated into over 100 courses no one can compare. We've also sent challenger players into Elo Hell 714 times and counting, where they commentate how to carry live. They also respond to all questions asked. Sign up today for as little as $6.99 a month if you are serious about improving. So that rounds it all out for our 12.23b tier list update. Thank you guys so much for watching, good luck in solo queue, and we'll see you back soon.